I knew I always wanted to write. I knew I wanted to write fiction. Done a lot of writing in my lifetime, but that was more professional or academic. And I thought, what I'm going to do is I'm going to move back to Texas with my family, and I'm going to start writing fiction. Most people thought I was crazy. I decided I was going to write several novels based on family members. The idea being that if nobody ever wanted to read the books or they were never published, I would at least have somewhat of a written record of family members so that my children, their children, would have a little bit of a written record about my family. The protagonist of my novel, Above the Water, is loosely based on a grandfather. A lot of his experiences are experiences that I had when I was living in Asia. When I lived in Japan the first time, I had read a book about Shanghai in the 1930s and 1940s, written by a British author. It was subsequently made a movie. It was called Empire of the Sun, and I was captivated by his descriptions of pre-war Shanghai. So I've traveled and visited Shanghai, fell in love with the architecture, with the ambiance of the city, which back then was still very Art Deco, very pre-war feeling. I thought that would be a wonderful setting for a romantic, exotic novel. I read obviously a lot of books about Shanghai and about foreign concessions in China in the era, but I also did things like doing research on restaurants. What were on menus? How did they speak? What was the jargon? What was the lingo they used, the slang? I watched a lot of movies from the 1940s. Writing historical fiction allows me to wear my political science hat a little bit, because I can delve into the history and the politics of a certain era when I'm writing a novel. Historical fiction is a great way to teach people lessons about history and about places and about people that are forced to deal with circumstances in trying times. Thomas Hardy, who's one of my favorite authors, gives a quote in Far From the Madding Crowd that tragedy can also abase a person, or it can be the basis of his sublimity. The title of my novel, Above the Water, is based on the idea of people surviving, enduring. The main characters, Harry and Victoria, both go through extremely trying circumstances, but they do what they need to do to survive. They make compromises. Above the Water is also loosely based on the characters for Shanghai. The Chinese characters denote above the sea or above the ocean. One of the lessons that I was trying to impart to readers in the novel is that in difficult circumstances, human beings need to do what they need to do to survive. They need to stay above the water.